Former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, whose body is lying in state at the Rufaro Stadium. Our reporter Chriselda Lewis has been giving us updates on the latest on what's happening on the ground. Let's cross to her. A very good afternoon to you, Chriselda. Thank you so much for joining us. How are things at the stadium at the moment? And we understand that the Mugabe family has already given in or acceded to the demands of the government that Mr. Mugabe be buried at the Heroes Acre. What could have led the family to give in to those demands?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Simpiwe. I'm really struggling to hear you at the stage, but currently here at the Rufaro Stadium in Harare, Zimbabwe, scores of people are still coming through or into the stadium to come and have a final viewing of the body of the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe. Thousands have already come through since very early this morning, and many are making a last-minute dash to get a chance to say their final goodbyes. And if I look towards my right, I can see that there are still people who are coming into the stadium, and it seems that nobody will be denied the opportunity to pay their last respects. But at about 5 o'clock, I think that's when the body will leave with the helicopter that it arrived in back to the Blue Roof residence of the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe. And, the sense that we're getting here is that, many of the people that we've spoken to that have come here to take this opportunity to pay their last respects, they speak of a man who had brought good education to this particular country. And you seldom hear of some of, the negative sentiment that has been shared by many pertaining to, the last days of the presidency of the former president of Zimbabwe. Many have had good things to say about him, at least those who the SABC has spoken to here. Some very emotional, some also coming to take time out to comfort the Mugabe family, who arrived here very early this morning. But a notable absence there, Simpiwe, is the former First Lady Grace Mugabe. When I spoke to the nephew of the late former president a bit earlier on today, he indicated that Grace Mugabe was not here today because it seems that the death itself has taken a toll on her, so she's decided to rest at home for today. So essentially what will happen now, Simpiwe, is that the body will move from here at about 5 o'clock, and it will go back to the former president's Blue Roof residence in Borrowdale here in Harare. And then tomorrow morning, that's where dignitaries as well as members of the diplomatic corps will have an opportunity to view his body. We understand that the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa will be arriving here in this country tomorrow morning, and later this afternoon into the evening, former President Thabo Mbeki as well as former President Jacob Zuma are expected to arrive here. They'll also attend the proceedings tomorrow. And then on Saturday, on Sunday, what will happen is that government will have a funeral service at the Heroes Acre Monument. And that is where we now know that the former president will be buried. But the special or the funeral itself or service that will be held tomorrow, on Sunday, is of course not the actual burial itself. What the Mugabes have told SABC News is that the actual location of the burial site will be at the Heroes Acre Monument, but they're not saying at this stage when exactly he will be buried. In fact, when I spoke to Leo Mugabe a bit earlier on today, he did indicate that he gave an estimation of a couple of days to even a week for them to get ready at the Heroes Acre Monument for that final burial, which of course will remain private. The Mugabes have insisted that the burial itself should be a private and family affair.
All right, Chriselda, thank you so much for your time. We'll certainly touch base with you a little later on. That was Chriselda Lewis live to us from Harare in Zimbabwe.